Hey everyone, it's Dr. Jono from Gluck Orthodontics in Nashville, and today we're going to talk about one of the most common questions we get at the practice. What is the difference between Invisalign versus braces? Now, I'm going to break it down for you what I like to call the 5 C's. They are cosmetic, convenience, comfort, cooperation or compliance, and cost. We'll go through each of them one at a time. Now, in the meantime, if you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. We're doing all of this for you, give you as much orthodontic information from board-certified orthodontists as we can. Okay, let's get into it. It's Dr. Jono. Today, we're talking ortho. All right. First, let's talk about cosmetic, okay? The appearance of braces versus the appearance of Invisalign. And I've got a couple of models and we'll kind of go through them. This is gonna be your 2 big options for braces, okay? You're gonna have your standard traditional metal braces and wires, or you will have something like this, which are clear braces, ceramic, tooth colored, and then they will also have wires. Some companies make what they will call a tooth-colored or a clear wire. What it is a metal wire with a tooth-colored coating, which in our experience, those don't work all that well because what will happen is some of the coating will flake off, and then you may have part that looks clear and then a little speck of metal and then clear, and usually it's not, patients just don't like it all that much. So again, these are going to kind of be your 2 options. Some patients really, they want metal, they want colors, they want to do Christmas and Halloween and Easter and July 4th and stuff like that. And then some patients, they like clear. They like the appearance of this. There are a lot of really nice clear brackets out there on the market. These, you can make them kind of as inconspicuous as possible with the metal wires, but also clear or kind of very neutral colors. Or you can, brighten these up with any kind of colors that you want. So you have tooth-colored braces with colors. Though, that said, in our opinion, if cosmetics or the appearance of what's in your mouth matters most to you, aligners are definitely going to be your best bet. So, standard little model, that's an aligner on the teeth. Now, if you watch some of our other videos, you'll see that I've used this as an example. This is what the aligner looks like, okay? But we use a lot of what we call Invisalign attachments on our aligners. We have a bunch of videos, I think, specifically about attachments, show you how they get put on and all that, so look at that other stuff. So this aligner doesn't necessarily show you what teeth will look like that have attachments on them. So this is a picture that we use for education with our patients. And let's just zoom in here really close and disregard the word tracking, but you can see this is what the teeth will look like when there are aligners with attachments. So it's never going to be 100% clear like you have nothing at all on your teeth, unless you have no attachments, which is a totally different story, and we can go into that another time. But if you want the most inconspicuous thing for your orthodontic treatment, we usually say aligners are going to be your best bet. That's the most cosmetic, most aesthetic option. Now, as we go through the rest of the C's, you'll see that there's definitely going to be some trade-offs. But for the most part, when patients come in, say, I'm interested in getting my teeth straightened, I need to get my bite corrected, something like that, and I want the most aesthetic option, most of the time we're going to go towards aligners. All right, so we've already talked about the cosmetic aspects and the comfort. Let's talk about convenience, okay? And I like to break this down when you compare Invisalign versus braces, really into thinking about how much time are you going to spend in the doctor's office, okay? So let's start with braces, and let's imagine the patient is going to have a 12-month treatment. Now at our office, we would usually break that down into about 9 or 10 appointments. A longer one at the beginning to get everything put on, shorter ones kind of in the middle, and then a longer one at the very end. But on and off, about 9 or 10 appointments over the course of the treatment. The longer ones we'll usually do in the morning. That's pretty common in ortho offices. And the shorter ones can be done kind of throughout the day. So we think about for kids, usually they don't want to miss school. The shorter ones we'll do in the afternoon. Now, with Invisalign, it's going to be a little bit different. And that's why a lot of patients like the convenience factor of aligners, because over a year treatment, we may only need to see them every, well, let's see, 10 or 12 weeks. So maybe only 5 or 6 times over the course of the entire year. Again, same kind of thing, longer appointment at the beginning, longer appointment at the end, but instead of doing 7 or 8 shorter appointments throughout the treatment, we may only do 3 or 4. The reason why is with braces, a lot of the treatment planning and kind of steps are done along the way. Whereas with Invisalign, the doctor will develop the treatment plan from the very beginning. So there's a lot less modification that happens as you go from stage to stage, which means that we are able to see patients every 10 or 12 weeks, as opposed to with braces where it's every 4, 6, sometimes 8. So as I said, a lot of patients like the convenience aspect with aligners. If they're adults, they're working or they have kids that they are, shuttling around or whatever, and they really don't want to spend as much time in our practice. Whereas with braces, we feel like there is a little bit more time that needs to be spent in the office because we do have more appointments. All right, now let's talk about the compliance / cooperation aspect, okay? And this, I think, is going to be one of the biggest differences between Invisalign versus braces, because Invisalign or any aligner treatment at its core, if the patient does not wear the aligner, nothing happens, okay? Seems pretty simple, but if the aligners are out more than they're in, then you really will not get the progress that you want and you will not get the result. So, braces, on the other hand, the responsibility for really going from start to finish almost completely rests with the doctor. And the patient is responsible from a cooperation standpoint. What we tell our patients is brush your teeth, take good care of everything, don't break anything. If we've given you specific instructions or prescribed things like rubber bands, make sure you're wearing those and keep all of your regular appointments. So we take on most of the responsibility from getting to start to finish and really rely on the patients to do kind of the basic things. Whereas with aligners, our responsibility as the doctor is the diagnosis and the development of the treatment plan, but the patient is really responsible for driving the treatment from start to finish because they are the ones that have to actually wear the aligners to make the teeth move in the proper direction. So how does that play out? Well, it really boils down to the patient's expectations for themselves and what they think they can accomplish. So, really it spans the whole spectrum. We have some teens that come in that are super focused, super motivated. Their room's always clean. They never lose anything. They are great aligner patients because that they're going to wear them all the time. They won't lose them and things like that. And then we have some people that would rather not be responsible for that, really important part of the treatment. And what they want is to show up for their appointments, keep everything clean, all that kind of simple stuff. And they want us to be responsible for getting them from start to finish. So for patients that really want a high level of compliance-driven treatment and are comfortable with that, then aligners are usually a good option for all the other reasons that we've mentioned in terms of the cosmetics, the convenience, and the comfort. But if they want us to do, most of the work, then braces is usually a good option for them. So the next C that we'll talk about is comfort. Another big one where we feel like the scale is tipped more towards aligners than braces. So let's just look at this model, and what you see here is there's quite a lot that's on the teeth. We've got braces, we've got wires, we've got rubber bands, we've got these little hooks, and you've got really 24, although this model has more than that, a couple more brackets on there. So there's a lot of stuff on here that can rub, that can irritate. You can have braces pop off, wires poking, things that can be uncomfortable versus something like an aligner, which I've showed you, which there's really a lot less that can go wrong and that can cause comfort issues. So anecdotally in our practice, and we keep very diligent statistics on this, the number of patients that come to our office for an extra sort of comfort visit, something's bothering them, is way less with aligners than it is with braces. And really by simple math, it's because there's a lot less stuff on there that can irritate you. So, you know, with braces, we see things like a bracket comes off, there's a hook that's rubbing the cheek, there's a wire that's a little too long that's irritating someone, there's springs, there's appliances, there's all that kind of stuff that can cause issues. With aligners, the main issue that we see is the edges. Let me see if we can zoom in here. That the edges of the aligners here can be a little bit rough, and those can irritate the cheeks or the tongue or the lips or something like that while patients are going through treatment. Although that said, simple fix, and we have a video for that. So if comfort is your concern, then usually aligners are going to be a little bit better for you. The other thing is, when you are in treatment with aligners, the movements are spread out very consistently throughout one treatment to the next, versus braces, where a lot of the force that's on the teeth is really magnified or amplified right when you have your appointment plus a couple of days, and then it sort of dissipates over the next 4 to 6 weeks until you go back. So you'll have a little bit of discomfort or some soreness or whatever, and then it'll sort of get better. We see a lot less of that with aligners because the amount of change is so gradual, and you're switching the aligners out every week, that there's really not a huge force amount on the teeth that would cause any discomfort. Okay, the last C that we will talk about is cost. Now, if you go back 5, 6, 7 years, most orthodontic practices were charging more for aligners than brackets and wires. It was a premium product. There was more cost to the doctor for aligners than there is for braces. That said, these days, orthodontists, specifically top-level Invisalign users or aligner users like us, have become efficient and knowledgeable, and our expertise in aligner treatment has grown so significantly that we feel comfortable charging the same amount for aligner treatment than what we charge for braces and wires. And our fee structure is going to be based on the length of treatment time, which almost always will correlate to the complexity of the treatment. So when you're kind of comparing Invisalign versus braces and you take cost into account, at most orthodontist office these days, the cost should be the same. Let's recap. Today we talked about the 5 C's of Invisalign versus braces. They were cosmetic, convenience, comfort, compliance or cooperation, and cost. And we broke down all the reasons or all the kind of decisions behind how you're going to choose if you're going to go the aligner route or the braces and wires route when you make a decision about your orthodontic treatment. Again, I always encourage patients when they go to the doctor to ask questions. It is always to your benefit and the doctor's office's benefit that you have as much information and understanding about your treatment before you get started. If you have any questions for us, that's what we're here for. Please leave us a comment. We hope you subscribe to our channel. We were talking ortho today. We hope it was helpful. We love you. Have a wonderful day. This is Dr. Jono from Gluck Orthodontics signing out.